Hey everyone, Michelle here and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my March wrap up video. If you saw my March TBR, you will know I had a little game this month, courtesy of Ada and her Christmas present. TBR tarot cards from don'tjudgebooks.co.uk, I will link them down below. So I picked the majority of my books from tarot cards. I shuffled, I couldn't go then, shuffled them, and then I just picked a book based off that prompt. So with my picks from the tarot cards, I ended up with 8 books, 7 were from tarot cards, 1 wasn't. Let's see if I read them all and what I rated them. But before I get on to the books I did read, let's talk about the book I DNF'd, because it's not a wrap up for me this year if I don't DNF a book. So this month's DNF was Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. I got 89 pages into it and I thought there was too much waffle that wasn't needed at the start of this book. Don't get me wrong, I like a bit of description jotted throughout the book, not when I read like 5 pages and I was like, I didn't need 3 of them pages. And I'm a proud bi woman, but every relationship did not need to be a lesbian relationship. I did speak to Ada about this. Now it's one of Ada's most anticipated books, and I think it's going to be a book where Ada loves it or likes it, and then I just can't. So yeah, off to the unhaul pile it goes. Now onto the books I did read this month. Book number 1 was for the prompt, choose a book which has a picture on the spine. And for this one I went for the only book I had with the picture on the spine, The Family by Naomi Krupitsky. I give this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I don't tend to read a lot of normal fiction. I will say it's normally historical fiction or crime or thriller or fantasy fiction. This book is based on, well, it's around 2 girls growing up in the family, aka the mafia in New York. And I'll be honest, the mafia bits didn't really interest me. It made the ending very obvious. However, what I did really like was watching these girls grow up together and separately, and how their relationship changed throughout the years as they changed and developed into their own individual people. So yeah, I call this a new type of story added to my wish list, just because it's not a type of story I normally read, but definitely one that makes me want to keep an eye out for it more. Book number 2 was my Read Your Bookshelf book for this month, and that was How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. 2 stars. The writing was good, and what I didn't like isn't against Bella, it's against just my preference. Majority of the murders were not needed. When you read the ending and realise what someone else did, I quickly realised, well, I didn't like all these murders because a lot of them didn't make sense. And actually, our character could have done this and gotten away with what she wanted. And thirdly, not minor spoiler, but minor spoiler possibly, she could have either gone to the papers and still got what she wanted. So yeah, what I did like about it is, like I said, Bella's writing was lovely and the setup to the murders was good. I just wish there was a lot of the people that died didn't die, because I didn't think they were needed. And also I wanted more of our main character's mum's backstory, because that just sounds amazing. For the prompts, choose a book where the blurb starts with the word it, and choose a book with a yellow cover. I went with Q by Christina Dolce, 2 stars. I like the setup for this world, how it got to where it got to. I liked half of the story. One of our characters, Oma, she tells her story, and I didn't think it was quite right that the story we were reading was kind of being linked to that. For me personally, I just felt it was like, well, that was different than what is happening now. Don't get me wrong, what is happening now in this book is bad, but it's not as bad as that. And that was my major thing. And my second thing was our main character was a massive hypocrite. and I just didn't like it. I didn't want to root for her. So yeah, another one for the unhaul pile. Book number 4, and for the prompt, choose a book which has 5 words in the title. I went for Ada's all-time favourite, The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. 5 stars. I adore this book. This is in my top 3 of the year. I loved it. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the pacing. I love the journeys that all these characters go on. I went into this book thinking it was about a boy or a man, what he goes from a boy to a man, going on this journey to try and find this author. And actually it's, yes, he goes to find this author, but it's actually his journey of growing up and find out about this fascinating backstory that has twists and turns. And yeah, I completely get why Ada loves this book. I really love it as well, and I'm definitely looking into reading more books in this series. Now, they're not connected per se, but they are set in the same world, so definitely a series I think I will continue in future. And for the prompt, choose a book which has a 1-word title. I went for Firewatching by Russ Thomas. 4 stars. This to me was a great start to a series. The story was darker than I thought it would be when it's revealed how everything's linked and what actually started what happens in this book. My jaw dropped a little, I'm not gonna lie, and I was actually like, would this happen? And it's like, actually I can imagine this is actually happening, and it's just not in the public. The main character I really liked. He's a little bit morally grey, but that's how I like my main characters in thrillers, especially crime books when they're police. I just find it more thrilling. Yeah, I love the side characters as well. I think these characters will carry on in the rest of the series. I'm hoping it's going to be like other crime books where you have a core group of side characters that kind of bob in and out, which is great because what's been set up in this book, I would love to see continue and grow or change. I'm trying to put down, like, make my list of series smaller that I want to read or I'm reading. This month didn't help, I'm not gonna lie. And for the prompt, choose a book which has a person's name in the title. I went with Electra by Jennifer Saint. 4 stars. I love Jennifer's work. She has quickly become one of my favourite historical fiction retelling writers. I pre-order all her books. I love this. When I read it with 3 characters and we were going to have 3 different POVs, I was worried the story wouldn't flow because obviously they're all at different parts of their journey. Shouldn't have worried. It actually made sense why you went from one character to another in each chapter. Out of the 3 POVs, in my opinion, Electra was the weakest. Just because I didn't feel she went on this journey like the other 2 did. Clytemnestra and Cassandra, you watch their journey, you feel their journey, you are with them on their journey and how their emotions change and how they develop as women and why they do what they do. And then Electra is simply, my daddy's not here. Why? I'm going to go cry and I'm going to have a strop and I'm going to go and like cause havoc when I'm a teenager because my daddy is perfect. And it's one of those where it's like, it's very much a child's POV in my opinion, and it just didn't fit in well with Clytemnestra's and Cassandra's. Saying that hasn't put me off for Jennifer's work. I am looking forward to her next book, which is Atlanta, if I remember correctly. And for my final book of March, for the prompt, choose a book which has a dedication to mum. I went with The End of Men by Christina Sweeney Baird. I love this book, 4 stars. It's my second book about pandemic, and I enjoyed both of them, so again, another story maybe to add to my wish list. I loved it. I loved the POVs. I loved how we travelled through this pandemic, through these different characters. I like the fact that all these characters were somewhat morally grey. Not going to spoil, but maybe spoiling. The Canadian doctor can go do one. I understand why she did what she did, but still she can go do one. The person in London, again, I understand her emotions, took it out on the wrong person. And our lovely Scottish doctor, keep fighting the power is all I'm going to say. Yeah, I loved it. One thing I would have liked is if we had a POV from a child growing up through this pandemic, but that was the only thing really, and maybe a couple more from the men's POV, like someone who was immune. But again, it's just little things. But again, not put me off this author. It has been picked up, I believe, US rights to mix into a TV show. I want to see that TV show. But I do think there would be changes if it was on TV, just because of some things that happen in other countries. I don't think we would get away with in the current climate putting that on TV. And there we have all 7 books. It was a good reading month for me. Definitely cut it fine with finishing The End of Men. But yeah, so that got my total of books read this year to 19, technically put me a month ahead of where I should have been to reach my goal of 60 books this year. But I'm not mad about it. Because there was such a variety of genres in my mind this month, it's actually kept my mojo up for reading, because I do normally have a little bit of a mini slump, which hasn't happened. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. But yeah, have you read any of these books? If you want to talk about your thoughts, if they're different from mine, if they're the same, if you have a question, I probably won't be able to help, but ask away. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Michelle and my reading, like my life, is a chaotic mess. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you don't want to, not an issue. But until the next video, bye.